I guess also and Masters are going on too.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah, I've been trying to I've been playing with I have a Paramount Plus, um, which and Paramount Plus, which is who owns that? I mean, I guess it's Viacom, who technically owns it, but they own the rights to and Viacom and CBS, so they own the rights to the Masters. But they have like six different like live camera views of the Masters going on, where like you can pick just like one hole and watch that, or a couple holes, or like the like usual like follow the same matchup or like top players, that sort of stuff. Interesting to see all the different options they give.
Welcome, boys.
Hey, GM.
what's going on, DJ Supply team.
What's up, boys? Glad to join you guys up here.
Happy to have you.
Cool. Maybe yeah, we'll get rolling now and just hit it off with some of the key updates, Jake, and then we could jump into the DGen Supply partnership and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'm just sharing that we're getting things started with a few different channels,
Cool.
so people know and can come on in. Um, but yeah, I mean, top line, we've got. I mean, team's been just super busy working on finalizing the architecture and requirements for the next for fantasy football 2022. Um, we've got a lot of devs that are working on this, and it's basically broken into a couple different teams. Um, how we're sort of breaking it out is we have one team that's focused on the actual like league dynamics and use the gameplay in the app, which are the components of like managing your roster and setting your lineup and head-to-head matchups and that sort of stuff. And then we have another team that's working on the like liquidity components, which is really like sort of the player draft, marketplace, things like that. And then we also just have our designers in front end. We just saw the first wireframes of the updated league app UI today, and it looks awesome. So really excited about all the progress we're making, and we're just been it's early mornings, late nights, but doing everything we can to get out to make sure we hit our deadlines and hit the dates that we need in order to make the football league a success. So that's just like big overarching view. We a couple like smaller things. I mean, we launched today. If you saw, so if you hold league tokens, um, you can go and claim the League Legend role in Discord, and that'll give you access to the giveaway channel, and you can participate in the giveaway. So right now we're running a giveaway for a one of the big leagues NFTs, which are these sort of pixelated baseball players, and it's a small community that has of just baseball and fans and fantasy sports fans, and they actually run their own little like mini fantasy league where if you have to hold the NFT to be eligible, and it's a really cool model what they're doing because they're not. It's like they're when they release the art, they release them in sets of like 9 at a time. So there's a very small supply, and it's a relatively small community. But because of that, the team that run it, they really make sure that everyone involved is like gets personal attention, and there's a lot of engagement and communication going on. Even just people like, "What are you eating for lunch today?" And I have a lot of respect for what they're doing and how they're growing a really core, like a engaged community, and not just trying to like go to the moon out the gates. And we've already started talking to them about how we can work with them around fantasy baseball in the future. As anyone who's been following, we've been talking about our part of our core, the core or key to success for us long term is um, enabling other communities to launch their own leagues on our protocols, right? And that gives us a model to scale without having to pay for every single user required to participate in the league. So uh, it's a good alignment. So to admin our bounties, we've been doing these small bounties for taking notes and stuff during the calls, but now we're gonna sort of up the ante a little bit of that and create some more opportunities for bounties. So using a platform that actually like facilitates that in a more seamless way is exciting and opens up more opportunities for us. So we've got that set up. So going forward, we're going to be using that for the bounties. So that's great. And I would just add the very last thing, which is a bigger point and definitely like if we'll get into some of like kind of open questions and stuff and ideas and feedback on this. It's sort of like this group of the number of people we have in the call is kind of perfect for this because it allows us to have kind of a better conversation about things. But we've published an article or a new post in the forum that outlines our vision and plan for fantasy football 2022 and what the core pieces of like the game and the product or protocol. So feel free to take a look in the forum and weigh in it. I can tell you we've already made a big change and since I published that, and I'm gonna have to go and edit it regarding like how the draft component will work, but and it's for the better. But I'll maybe get into that a little bit later on the call if we have time. If not, please go into the forum, review what I shared. It's got some diagrams in there. Try to make it as simple as possible for what is a relatively kind of robust product. But we definitely want to get everyone's feedback. And then the last thing I will add before we dive into more interesting stuff is one of the key things we've also been working on is looking at the league token and creating greater utility for that token within our games, and really in a meaningful way, like creating a circular utility and flow or flywheel, if you will, for the league token where it plays a meaningful role and it's done in a sustainable way that isn't just like flooding the supply and giving people like real reason to hold on to their tokens. We have a few different models for that we are evaluating as we speak. Some of them are easier and quicker, some of them a little bit more robust. And we'll also be sharing that. And I mean, I think that's a really big one to get the community to weigh in on and to get feedback on, because everyone who's been here for a while, and holds the league token knows what the current market dynamics are. So like for us, there's a lot of pieces at play with the league token, whether that's the current liquidity model or, just larger macroeconomic factors that we're seeing across a lot of different, early stage DAOs. But I think we'd all agree, like for us, the key thing for us in terms of addressing all that is creating meaningful utility for the league token beyond just governance, which is meaningful utility, but I think there's people want to see more, and there are good ways that we can do that. So that's another thing that we're putting a lot of work in. We have stuff that we're already planning and implementing, but we want to share that with the community and get everyone's way in. I think that's a big we're getting to the point now where in terms of we're so in getting over the next several months really focusing on building out the best product possible and the best game to enable LeagueDAO to really grow and thrive. And so as much of the like feedback and input from the core community we can get, the better, so that everyone's aware of what we're doing, why decisions are being made, and get a chance to weigh in now, as opposed to we release the protocol and then you're sort of like, well, why did they do this? So that was a lot. That was a lot of updates, but I hope it was helpful for anyone on the call right now or anyone listening in terms of where our focus is and what we're putting a lot of our time and energy into. So we'll open it up for questions in a little bit. I would say right now, let's. We brought on. You guys can see if you're in the call now. We brought in the Degen supply team because as you probably saw yesterday, we announced that we're partnering with them around LeagueDAO merchandise going forward. So we wanted to bring them on the AMA, let them introduce what they're building and who they are, so the community can get a sense and understand why we decided to partner with Degen Supply and what we've got rolling out. So with that, I'll hand it over to the Degen team, and you guys can kind of give us a little bit of an intro and to what you guys are, who you are, and what you're building.
Cool, for sure. This is Jin talking. Thanks for the intro, Jake. I'm part of the Degen team along with BD, who's up here, and Handcard as well. So we do, we're like a premium merch provider for Web3 protocols. So thought it was a pretty good opportunity to partner with LeagueDAO to help get merch out to the LeagueDAO community and also to get, more representation on the real world plane for LeagueDAO, right? By people wearing hats and hoodies and t-shirts. So we did a drop earlier for XYZ, and people love that and got a ton of attention on social media. Really good for exposure for the protocol. And we're hoping to bring that same feel to LeagueDAO as well. And I like, Jake, that you mentioned adding additional utility to League and the various projects, or I guess sub-projects of the LeagueDAO brand heading, because that's something that we're really focusing on as well, like building out additional utility for Web3 projects. So one of the things that we're excited about, or at least that we've been excited about in the crypto space, is like composability, right? So we're building out a lot of things to essentially add like more value to Web3 projects, like their tokens and their NFTs. So something we want to do with LeagueDAO, which isn't going to be present in the first drop, we're going to keep it kind of simple in order for people to get, easy access to the initial merch that we're doing. But something that we're brainstorming and building in the background is like allowing for holders of the various LeagueDAO NFTs to get exclusive access to various merch drops, potentially LeagueDAO token holders to get exclusive access, potentially using the League token as like a method of transaction. So we're big on trying to add additional features and value to what LeagueDAO is putting out. And also, personally, I'm a big degenerate with LeagueDAO. I have a bunch of Nomo tokens, and all my brackets blew up, unfortunately, for NFB, but I played along as well. So hopefully you guys will be seeing us around and picking up some merch and repping LeagueDAO in the real world. And I could talk forever, I'm sure, but this is LeagueDAO stage. So if you guys have any questions for us or anything you want to hit us up with, you can find us at Degen Supply, or we're in all these Discords too, just like you guys. So you can find us there as well.
Awesome. I'm hyped for the gear coming soon.
Yeah, it should be sick.
And I know there was a question in the AMA questions channel regarding this, so I'll just answer that right now. So the jerseys that were created that we gave away during the March Madness event, those were not created in conjunction with Degen Supply. Those were basically me just wanting to create some leaked out jerseys, sort of, and paying for it, doing it out of like on my own, and kind of like test cases, if you will. So those were separate from kind of those are like the real OG, I guess, jerseys. But long term, we're gonna, merchandise will be coming. We'll be creating in partnership with the Degen Supply team, and creating, unique and exciting kind of designs and looks for that stuff. But the like handful of like 20 or so like basketball and football jerseys that were originally created, those were a separate one-off initiative.
Yeah, we should have some kind of jerseys and maybe some basketball shorts at some point coming out. We obviously want to hear from the community as well. So I think we added a merch design channel in here so that people can, send over their art or any suggestions they have. I'm BT, by the way, so I take care of, more of the partner relations and the customer service side. So if there's any questions on our side, either do it in LeagueDAO chat or come over to the Degen chat. And, if you have any concerns, let us know. We're, a part of this community, so we definitely want to hear from everyone.
I have to say, Tyler, seeing that Clown Charles profile image staring back at me in full 4K on my screen is pretty unnerving.
That's what
Man
he's
needs
there
to
for.
he definitely needs a shave.
I think all of us need a shave at this point.
I actually did shave this week. I had like a pretty gnarly beard, and I shaved my face.
Damn, I made a decision because it was like 95 degrees in the West Coast this week, and I decided to shave my beard. And now people are going to think I just shaved my beard because Tyler shaved his beard. Damn it!
Damn.
I'll just tell everybody I
Yeah.
shaved my beard because you did.
There we go. Does anyone have any questions on like merch and for DGen Supply while we got him here?
Yeah, feel free to request to speak or shoot it over in the AMA questions channel.
We are happy to have people come up here. We love talking to y'all. We love seeing your beautiful faces, hearing your beautiful voices, seeing your beautiful PFPs.
So many beautiful people in this chat. Good community.
And Tyler got that tweet up quick.
That was a quick one.
You're safe, Jake. I just tweeted I only shaved my beard because Jake did.
Now I gotta shave my beard. I gotta change my anyone who talks to me on Telegram, I've been using my actually it's from the Big Leagues collection. It's the Todd Helton with the Todd Helton goatee. So I feel like I couldn't. I don't think anyone can pull off the goatee quite like Todd Helton, but I might just have to like stick with that. All right. Well, like I said, we've got the like the merch design channel that's getting set up in Discord, and we'll be sharing stuff there like very soon. We'll be sharing stuff about the first drops we're doing, and like I said, I think part of why I think we were so excited to work with these guys is because they aren't just like manufacturing t-shirts and like merchandise. Like they're putting a lot of interesting ideas and building stuff around merchandise and almost providing like that support layer for DAOs, right? They mentioned they did a merchandise drop for Universe, and we want to align with them because the ability to explore and keep working on stuff like token gated merchandise and things like that. That's really exciting, and it's a great opportunity to work with a team that's already thinking about that and has the like team and the expertise there, as opposed to us, the core team of LeagueDAO diverting our time to like dealing with manufacturing merchandise and shipping and all that stuff. Like we can stay focused on our core products, but we can also offer these things to the community and do it in a more sustainable way. So we're excited to be working with them.
Awesome. Yeah, we're very
You
happy
guys
to
had to
partner
do
with you
both.
guys. Go ahead, BD.
I said if you guys would have to do both, it wouldn't be just long nights; you'd be sleepless nights. So
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is we already have long sleepless nights, so we're at a certain point you run out of time.
Exactly. You guys ship code, and we'll ship the merch. Very easy.
I actually had a bit of a question. Maybe it's more of a, I guess maybe not legal, but I was thinking like if we ever did integrate, or like we're kind of building in the background, but if we decided to integrate like payments with like LeagueDAO tokens or like just any type of like native tokens, and we were to like give back a percentage to the DAO, like would that be like legally okay? Or I don't know if you guys know that.
There are ways you could do through like if you were to do a credit card, like how like when Coinbase debit card, like you can go ahead and swipe it, and then the fee that they take from the merchant, they go ahead and give it back to you in the form of like Grid Plus or Ethereum or whatever. There's a possibility for that, but we're not at that scale yet. We have a ways to climb up before we get to that point.
For sure. That'd just be really cool. Like,
It
again,
would
if-
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, the mechanism that you're saying in terms of if the funds are going to the DAO treasury, that's not a problem. I don't want to give any absolutes, because no good lawyer will give you an absolute
Of
ever.
course. Yeah.
But if it's yeah, you don't run into the same kind of concerns if the funds are going back to the DAO treasury. It's when you then get into like getting profit disbursement with actual individuals that it gets a little murky.
That'd be super cool. Like tie like an ecosystem of protocols together through like proper incentivization loops. It's like I don't know. It just sounds really cool to me. But
Absolutely, and I think there's some of the stuff that we've been thinking about. So like, this is something we haven't talked about publicly a whole lot yet, and I think part of it is because we want to make sure that we're not diverting our focus too much, and getting into like feature creep. As we know, like the key for LeagueDAO is fantasy football 2022, right? And making that game as like fun and compelling as possible, given all the data and response that we've gotten from the first iterations of our fantasy league. But like, one of the things we are doing is rethinking the artwork model for our the player NFTs, and instead of going with a model where each different sport and season has a different character design, actually kind of working with an artist to create a kind of singular, more consistent character that is more emblematic of the LeagueDAO brand identity, and then that character will change as with different sports. So like basketball, soccer, right, football. It's still one character, but different uniforms, different accessories, different poses, that sort of stuff, right? So there's still variation, but we're using our kind of the ties that we have with other communities to ensure that work, in terms of redesigning the character, that what we're creating is also being done with like future applications in metaverse and like virtual spaces in mind. So ensuring that we're creating like 3D artwork that meets the specs of these different like metaverse spaces that are being created, but that also creates an opportunity where you then have a character that's wearing a uniform, and we could potentially tie the uniform that the character's wearing to like merchandise that you can get access to, and that like kind of creates like a cool kind of sort of like faction system, if you will, but also opens the door for like unique, like working with these to like find like create sort of unique and different variations, and like really getting creative with it, but also having that tie back to like IRL like jerseys and stuff. So I know it's not like the most groundbreaking thing in the world because a lot of other projects have explored that, but I think tying in and this is, like I said, this goes back to why like the guys at DGen Supply are people we wanted to work with, because we want to make sure that everything we're adding still like contributes to the ecosystem in like a unique way, right? That we're not just like adding things on for the sake of just adding something on. Like we want to be thinking long term and like how stuff can have a compounding effect and like can really be interesting and compelling, from like the technical standpoint, beyond just like here's a piece of merch that looks cool. So working with a team that gets that and is thinking that way is so important for us.
Very much. Do we want to go ahead and get into the technical discussions now?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of questions in. I mean, we can go through the AMA questions. There's not as many right now, but I think maybe our time might be best used with this, on this call to talk about the draft component and get people's thoughts on that. You agree with that?
Yep, I do.
Cool. Okay. you wanna outline where we are just to give people context?
Sure. So, what we've gone ahead and designed so far is we're making a set of what you know as popular fantasy football leagues, the traditional system that you all know and love, but with some added characteristics that are a bit more crypto native and add to the experience. So what we're starting with is we're building out a a league system where you can go ahead and create either your own fantasy football league to play with your friends, as well as join in this big popular tournament that we're running that will enable you to compete against other people and play fantasy football, with the added feature that all the funds that go into these, because we are looking for paid leagues, are invested and receive and generate yield. But the yield is a part of an interesting play that works between the people playing the games and the normal players. So the normal players that you put together are effectively being farmed out to to other leagues and teams in exchange for a percentage of the yields that are being generated through the strategy contracts. And with that, you're able to go ahead and create a more rewards than you would normally get, and you're able to go ahead and keep that same fun, traditional, classical feel. But where you've had a couple of questions about what you would like to see in terms of features that you like from fantasy football, maybe some that you're open to that might be a bit different. We just wanted to kind of pitch it around and play around with it and see what you guys like. That cover most of it, Jake?
I mean, I think one area where we have like where we've been discussing and wanted to present to the community in this call specifically is the area of the player draft. So, if you when you check out in the forum, you'll see part of what we're doing is creating a structure where we have like an overarching what we're calling mega league, and under the umbrella of this mega league, there are divisions, and each division has 12 teams. So when you sign up and join the league, you are automatically and randomly assigned to a division of 12 teams. So each division will have a player draft where you are drafting, right, your player tokens, and each division, like there will be a iteration of every player for each division. So there will be, if there's Division A and Division B, there will be Tom Brady A, Tom Brady B, and so that way each division can, be inclusive, and it basically doing this allows us to scale the model, right? There could be as many divisions as there is demand to join the league, the mega league, but it also it ensures that you still can, everyone can choose the players and create the best rosters that they want. So there are two ways we can go about drafting the players. And now this is right when you're drafting, you are using an ERC20 token to purchase an NFT. We have a mechanism in place that we've described and outlined in the forum post that explains where that token's coming from and how you will get those tokens. But effectively, we were originally envisioning an auction draft format where the players can be purchased during the draft via an auction. So you bid some amount of what we're calling draft tokens or draft league tokens, and other people, the other 11 owners or managers in the division can also bid on that player. That was It's a pretty complex model when when you zoom out on it, and is pretty different from what I think a lot of people are used to with fantasy sports. And but it also is a more interesting and it is like a more exciting like degen model, right? Is using like NFT auctions and to power your drafts and having it be more of like an open marketplace. The draft as opposed to kind of the traditional format. So that's scenario one. Scenario 2 is we use a more traditional like serpentine draft format where there's still a budget per player. So players are assigned a dollar value based on their um, projected fantasy ranking for the season, but users are actually like the managers are slotted into a position in the draft, and you then go one by one, and instead of placing a bid and making it an auction, you're actually just purchasing sort of a straight purchase of the player when it's your turn to make the purchase in the draft, right? So that's more of that like traditional serpentine draft structure, but it adds this component of you still have to manage your budget and make sure you're picking not just spending everything on the first player or on like the best player that is available. Um, so it's much simpler, and this actually the auction draft format also creates this opportunity where what we've been discussing is the order of the draft will be determined by how much league tokens are in the user's wallet. So the more league you have in your wallet, the higher or the better position in the draft you have. So that's just another one of those ways that we see an opportunity to create like anchor value for the league token within the game. So we've been discussing both formats. We're at the point now where we have to finalize and fine tune it. And I know this is a lot to throw at everyone on the call, but it would be great if anyone has any like really strong opinions about this. To weigh in, and we can talk about it here. And then similarly, there's also there's also just like the forum itself. So
I would love to hear all of your harsh opinions. I want to hear what people really want. But yeah, that's one aspect that we are discussing. I think in now we're kind of leaning towards the snake draft, but we want to go ahead and pitch it to everybody and see what they think. Zach Daddy, let's hear it from you. To explain like the snake draft with the budget, it just as a design gives you a bit more flexibility for any future iterations where you might need to go ahead and move on to an auction draft or add it in a future version. But basically, like it feels the same exact way as a snake draft. It's just that everything has a flat price, and then you're just going ahead and buying it on the draft.
Yeah,
everybody gets the same amount of D League tokens, draft league tokens, and then you're getting it at a flat rate. So effectively, if everything's the same price, it's just the same exact thing as selecting it. It's just a way to go ahead and increase flexibility of the model. That's all.
Yeah, and you can still incorporate a budget to the snake draft. Where that's where it's akin to that, like, the meme of like you have $100, pick your best lineup. So it still has that kind of component to it. So you still there's more strategy at play than just the traditional snake draft where you're just sort of picking. You can pick whoever that's best available. So it's a bit of a twist on the traditional snake draft model.
Anyways, on to the next bit, which would be in terms of free agent acquisition. This isn't the other area where we're discussing it, which would be to go with a FAB model, which is a free agent acquisition budget model, where we take the budget that we had before, and then we worked in through the budget that you're able to go ahead and buy free agents with League, or to go ahead and do it where D League is then the draft league tokens, which are evenly distributed, are just put into a budget for you to go ahead and buy free agents with, or to go with a waiver system. Would like to hear whether people have any opinions on that.
Yeah, this is Isaac. I'm sorry, I was on mute, so you guys probably didn't hear me talking a minute ago on the snake draft conversation.
It did not.
Okay. If I can just jump back to that quick, my first thought is just with the having the budget still in play with the snake draft. I'm trying to think of it from from, I'll call it, even, I've been playing for 22 years or whatever, and it makes me just think of like it doesn't make the snake draft the traditional way that it's intended, in my opinion, I guess. And it does add another, maybe kind of a gamification and strategy factor, which is okay. But at the same time, a lot of guys, especially a lot of guys that I know, I'm lucky to even get them to show up to the draft, let alone, have some kind of strategy in play to know that they should, pick McCaffrey number 3 and actually spend, $26 of their 100 on him or whatever. And so I'm just thinking of it from a lot of people's, are probably a little more passive than I for sure am in it, because I love it. I spend way more time than I probably should doing it. So I'm always kind of on top of like all the new rules. I run leagues and I try to make them as, the leagues up to date based on rules. I'll read, somebody else's new thoughts on a rule and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot more sense to make it as, level set for everybody, and also kind of takes in as much of the gamification and skill that is intended to be involved with fantasy football versus any of the luck, trying to minimize the luck factors inside of how the rules of the league is created. So I guess that's just my thoughts on that particular point with the snake draft. I would lean to wanting it just to be a plain snake draft where if you still needed the budget to be implemented from your perspective on the tech side, then just every player is worth, 10 D league, and you're not worrying about spending 12 on this guy and 25 on another guy in your draft slot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it seems like to play it safe, it might be worthwhile to go ahead and just play conservative when it comes to the actual game structure, and then try to focus on mechanics that we can do to increase and enhance the game. Small elements.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I read your forum doc just before we got on this call too, and that was going to be my first question, where it mentioned auctions, and I don't even participate in auction drafts myself in like all my buddy leagues, and I did them once or twice in the past and just personally never cared for it. There's people that swear by them though, right? So there's kind of two types of players: people that love to do the auction style and others that would prefer just the snake draft. So I guess maybe your feedback showed that auction, and if you have data that says that people like the auction style or want that, then maybe that that plays into what you should do, obviously.
I think we were operating under the model that it fits nicely with the degen models. But truth be told, I'm like looking around, and there's actually auctions like take like something like it is a bit more evenly split. So like there's like a 40% of the market that uses like auctions, and then like 60% use snake. But it feels like auction is definitely for more experience.
I'm biased to auctions. I actually read recently that they did a poll of a bunch of NFL players, because they all play fantasy football, and most of like the serious like fantasy betting groups use auctions, and and they also do PPR. And it sounds like most of the NFL players do auctions and PPR as well. So like if we're gonna build like one North Star, I feel like more people know how to do snake, but eventually they moved to auctions. Like we did that Genesis League in auctions, and like honestly, it made it so much more fun. Like where I mean, I'll still do a snake draft, but like that auction format seems way more legit to me. But I don't think my opinion matters as much. I'm more, I actually did some research afterwards when me and Jake were talking about the Genesis League. And Jake, that thing that Matt Hunter sent us, that's like the big guys, like it's like $10,000 to play, and that website is that auction or snake?
That's a great question. I have it, but I don't remember offhand. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it is it does come down to like preference. I will say, you know, thinking about it more, right, like the using the traditional snake format, where even where you aren't like adding sort of this like budget component, um, that in itself does so. Actually, and Tyler just Francis, they use a snake format, a snake draft for that league or that whole product.
What is that product? Just so like everybody listening to know.
FFPC is what it's called.
So there's a guy that we all hang out with that's really involved in LeagueDAO, but more like behind the scenes. And he plays this thing called FFPC, which is like it's like an elite fantasy football league, which was kind of how like the Genesis League started out. And the buy-ins are like, I mean, I think there's some downstream, but most people play in like the $8,000 leagues. So it's like if you play DraftKings, but like you're only playing in like the really high buy-in ones, and it's a season. So like a lot of people play this because like if they're really serious about fantasy football, like a lot of times like you don't have a group of like 12 or 16 friends that are diehard about fantasy football, and like most of the time somebody has $8,000 to drop on it, they're probably going to take it seriously. So this site is a platform for that. But it's interesting they do snake, so that alleviates my auctions thing. But I think the PPR part's still accurate.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I think
PPR 100%.
Yeah, and I guess anecdotally, I would say that those high buy-in kinds of leagues, and FFPC, and there's a couple of others that, and I can't recall off the top of my head, those kinds of higher end buy-ins, those types of players probably want auction more so than not, because they're already doing like all of this high end analysis, and they've essentially put all this time, and they put a price point from an auction standpoint, and they're willing to do that work. Whereas my 11 other buddies that I'm trying to get together to eat pizza and drink beers for 3 hours, it's just they don't put in that kind of time. And so when it comes to an auction format for them, to me, it kind of loses the intent of it, making it more interesting and gamified that way. So then again, it just, for me, it defaults back to the traditional snake format that is a lot simpler for them to understand, and they just kind of participate. And yeah, there's initially a little bit of luck of the draw for your first pick, but that ultimately doesn't decide your fate for the season.
Yeah, I think you sold me, Sack Daddy. That's a pretty good point, because like yeah, if I like, honestly, I'll put it this way. I had to learn how to do auctions because of LeagueDAO and the Genesis League. And if I signed on to a crypto platform, just knowing how busy I am, and I saw an auction format and I didn't know what it was, but I just signed on that day, I would be like, fuck this. I'm not going to play this game. But if it was a snake, like what I already knew how to do, like I would try it out.
Yeah, it seems like the conservative way is to do that. Which are you kind of under an understanding here that snake seems to be best way forward? I've got two in the snake column right here on the preference here on the AMAs.
I think you were for snake too, though. You were originally the one saying it.
We make
RJ.
merch, and I say snake.
Yeah. You were saying that you think we should do it snake. Then I disagreed, and then you and Sack Daddy made me say I was wrong. So I think we have no one in the auction column right now.
And not to try and take the easy way out, but how difficult would it be to allow both? I mean, could there be divisions that were auction, like you kind of slice the league in half, and people that want an auction version are put into divisions that are auctioned, and then the other half participates in snake draft only side of things.
That depends on the. It honestly depends on the kind of auction, because like if we do like a free for all, which like honestly you're putting kind of a gun to the head of the UX when you kind of do that, and I just kind of came to terms with that because a buddy of mine, when I was telling him about this, he's like, that sounds like hell in a handbasket. He's like, you're monitoring 12 different auctions, where the normal one is you monitor one auction at a time and then everybody bids on that auction and then it goes piece by piece by piece. But that takes a long ass time to complete. You'll probably be like at the table for like 4 to 6 hours. So
I will say that those auction drafts took way longer than the snake.
Yeah, snakes are quick. That's the thing. And
well, and I would actually, and to your question about like giving the option, I think so. The Mega League format, part of what we're doing is we're creating a mechanism so that like the Mega League is in the same way, similar to how we had with like the LeagueDAO pool on non-fungible brackets. It's like it's sort of like an added incentive that is on top of the divisions, where at the end of the season the teams that win the divisions and are then ranked according to like total point score, and then earn a separate like additional prize on top of what they get for winning the division. But long term, what we're building with this version 2 is a mechanism to enable people to then go and like use our protocol to create their own. Like if you have like your friend league and you've been playing with the same people for 15, 20 years, right? Like you can then use LeagueDAO to run that, but like you in the like a Web3 format. In that scenario, we could potentially have like the option. But I think with the Mega League, because technically all of the divisions are competing against each other for the like Mega League prize, it makes sense to have it be one, like to make sure the rules are the same for all divisions, so that way everyone's on like, the same.
I mean, you just basically have to have like two different league prizes, one that goes up the auction funnel and one that goes up the snake draft funnel. And I mean, you're probably taking on enough as it is to have to like try and go through that would be a pain.
I mean, we love the complexity of the auction, but I think, and that's why we leaned to it originally. But I think it's also from a dev and a technical standpoint, it is far easier to do a snake draft. And I put it in the AMA notes too, in response to like the using just like the traditional snake format also puts more weight to your draft position, and like it becomes more important to get a good draft position placement, and that then supports the league token utility there, where draft position is based on how much league you have in your wallet. Like it creates greater utility for the league token at that point.
Yeah, and I also am a huge supporter of PPR. I love that ever since that came in. I was probably one of the first adopters of PPR. So.
Yeah, I think we're. It seems like I don't know anyone who isn't a fan of PPR. I guess there's some people that think it like inflates points, but
yeah, it's
like,
interesting.
Somebody hates it because he sucks at them. He sucks at the PPR leagues because he's like, well, wait, do running backs now get points for every rushing attempt? Is his favorite go-to?
No, but then your running backs get points for like it. Chase Edmonds becomes one of the more like valuable, consistent running backs in the league. Even though he's not like flashy or sexy, because he gets a lot of little receptions.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I
mean,
understand.
it's clearly one that's always debated, and I mean, even like if you ever listen to Sirius XM, during the fantasy season, you'll get guys that are hardcore half point PPR guys, no points, or it must be PPR. So they're even in the professional, unquote, professional ranks of the talking heads in Sirius XM. There's really not even a consensus there. But I love PPR because I look at it as when I'm watching the games, it gives me that many more opportunities for something to be happening to my player or not. And so that's just the way I've always looked at it.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I haven't thought about it that way.
Can we move to the next section, though? I love that we're having this conversation. It's just like we got limited time, and
Yep, go
I
for
wanted
it.
to
Yep.
go ahead and pitch one more thing, which was specifically around when dealing with free agents, because right now we kind of are split, like, I guess there's like three things going on. So one is, do we do a fab model, or do we do, which is a free agent acquisition bid? So basically, you get a budget for the season and you spend that to go ahead and acquire your free agents throughout the season. If you draft well, it means you have a lot left over at the end of the season to go ahead and purchase a player. Or do we go with a waiver wire system, or do we do something whereby your budget is created, but then you can supplement it with league tokens and kind of buy in more?
Well, yeah, and to add more color to that, the third option that we were discussing was basically free agents. Those become available on a marketplace, and that's where we were looking at, utilizing something like a universe marketplace. But you purchase free agents using league tokens, and the league tokens that are collected by the DAO from people buying free agents, right? That gets funneled back into the reward pool and then is distributed to all the other participants in the league. So there is like a more of like a circular component to that I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that sounds cool to me. That part of it, and just to answer, I would lean fab myself. I enacted that in leagues that I run, and even though, like as I was kind of saying, the guys that I tend to play with aren't as diehard as I might be. They've adopted fab very well and are fine with it. So I would say it's not kind of the same conversation as we were having about adopting auction versus, like a fab system. They seem to be fine with, and they participate in it. Haven't, had pushback versus like the waiver wire side. And for me, the waiver wire side to me is like just adds more of like a component of luck, I guess I'll call it. That, I'm personally always trying to get out of the competition, where I am always trying to make it so that it's as much skill based as we can possibly get. I mean, there always ends up being the luck of an injury or not an injury and all these other things that you can't completely eliminate, but ultimately like to be able to say that we made the best decision we could as the owner of a team. And that's deciding to, pay $20 for, McCaffrey's backup after he gets hurt week 1 kind of stuff.
I'm going to go ahead and put it to discussion here. I'm going to go ahead and put it to our favorite emojis.
He throws a slight jab in after he gets hurt week 1.
I hope he doesn't. I really like the guy, but he's had a rough couple of years.
He'll be tripped down the stairs. No, I'm just kidding.
Who is this you're talking about?
McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the NFL.
When he's healthy.
Like Michael Vick. Except doesn't abuse dogs. Besides that point.
Well, and this is something I think that also
Michael Vick
warrants
is
like
the
its own
greatest football
separate.
player I've ever seen pick up a football. I have Rottweilers and Pit Bulls. I don't respect what he did, but that dude was magical. If he had been there in his prime and had a better offensive line, we wouldn't be talking about Michael Vick like the way we do.
Oh, I still talk about Michael Vick. I think he's like one of the greatest ever. He was a little human highlight reel. I mean, there's the one play that I think is like one of the dopest plays ever, and I think it's illegal now. But the one where he does like the slide on the Carolina Panthers, and then he kicks up and does a spin on him, is one of the sickest plays I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, he made two Vikings run into each other.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
the
they
Eagles had that one comeback drive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one time somehow he didn't go out of bounds in against the Packers in a playoff game, and I can still picture it and don't understand how. Because I'm a Packers fan, so I remember negatively how that impacted the game.
If you didn't play him on Madden, then you obviously aren't into sports.
So, with regards to the,
Well, I think what we'll do, which because this is like a more there's just a lot more elements to this specific matter. I think we should just create a forum post specific to the free agents component, so that way we can separate out that discussion.
yeah, for like how to handle the league and everything, like the league token and how that factors in. Because I
Yeah,
wanted to go ahead and can I pitch tug of war here?
yeah.
All right.
Hold on to your
So
hats.
this is hold on to your hat here. This is a bigger, more long term one. But it's kind of cool. So the idea is to go ahead and make this kind of game of tug of war between the Nomo players and the people who are playing in the leagues. So when you're renting out your Nomo player, when you're renting out Nomo players, the idea is you're getting them a percentage of the yield. But what that percentage of the yield is in this model isn't necessarily set. It's dynamic. And it's dynamic based upon how much league is locked up on your player. So you're staking league to a player on the Nomo end. The more league is staked on the Nomo end, you can swing it up to 20% in terms of Nomo captures 20% of the yield from a certain league. Or you can go ahead and stake it on your end and stake more league into your division or your league, and then you capture more yield on your end. And it works in a way where it's only in 20% swings. So everybody still walks away with something, but there's a match to go ahead and fight for more league to fight for more league to fight for more yield at the end of it. I don't know if that made sense to everybody.
Yeah, it could be worth adding in maybe the forum, so it could have some more discussion.
Okay.
Do we want to just do a little quick rapid AMA questions real quick, check over what we have, and because yeah, we're at the hour.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. Victus wasn't able to attend today, but he was wondering if there's any roadmap for getting League onto Polygon as of yet, and if there's any updates on a collaboration with LinkStyle.
I think we'll reach out to Dudis in like a couple months.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, no, I know that he's an advisor, and we could definitely work on.
There's just not anything immediately to collaborate with them on, but like Dudas is pretty supportive of everything we're doing.
So yeah, and I would say, well, on the first question, the Polygon question, we that's just in the works and is happening, because that of course has to happen for a lot of these kind of components in terms of integrating League utility into the actual app. So that is happening as we speak. And then yeah, like mentioned on the links outside, it's I think one of the things that was brought up was doing a like masters bracket with LinksDAO, but which is something I think long term we definitely want to do and be great. And I know they also made their own little internal like March Madness bracket, so the relationships there, and a lot of us on the core team are LinksDAO holders too. So like it's there. It's just at the moment there isn't anything. There isn't any like urgent thing that we would be putting into motion with them. Well, we just focus on the next football season.
Yeah, I think once we have more, things like NFB tournaments and different events coming up, that's where we can reach out to DAOs like Links DAO and other DAOs and projects around that may be interested in running some different pools, or either specific for their project, or just like a group of DAOs that are all participating in a NFB pool to just get some more traction and align each other's communities. But yeah, I think that would be really cool to do like a masters pool next year. Next, we had a question regarding an app on the App Store, and I think that's been touched on before, but it's more so an issue with launching an app as like a DAO would be a bit difficult. And I don't know if you can touch on that, Jake.
I mean, that is, I mean, there's kind of like a few kind of factors that make that tricky. One is just like, I mean, like the wallet connectivity and that because App Store, like the Google App Store, right? Like I mean, they're pretty strict with stuff, and also they require you to take a fee of like revenue transactions that are processed in the app, and we want to not have to deal with that. So instead of having an app, what we are going to be doing, and what a lot of projects do, is just a lot of the applications are built via, I mean, web apps are built using React, and so we make sure that there's just a mobile friendly side to the React web apps that the league lives on, so that way you can technically utilize them via mobile, but we're not going to be building out like a standalone like iOS or Android app anytime soon.
I mean, yeah, because really the best way to do this right now is to just leverage something like rainbow.me, which kind of makes a really slick interface for handling these things. And then, excuse me, maybe we'll be able to go ahead and use some components that make it like a bit more mobile friendly, but because they're like dropping their SDK that's specific for mobile right now. But as it stands, like the resources aren't there to go ahead and just make a standalone app.
Yeah, that's the other piece. It's just its own like complex, unique development cycle that we right now we just have to focus on building like the best core like web application, and then long term we can look at building out like a more fleshed out like mobile app that users can play with. But I think for the time being, we are going to focus on the web app and making sure that there's like mobile reactivity to it.
Awesome. Yeah, if there's any other questions, you could shoot it over real quick. But yeah, we'll probably wrap this up shortly. And I did want to remind everyone we're going to be.
I gotta
Oh, go
hop.
ahead.
Yep.
All right, later.
All right, later, guys.
Later.
I was just gonna say, yeah, our first week of the weekly stat competition will be ending shortly. We'll review the entries and pick a winner sometime this afternoon, and then from like whatever 1:30 on today, it'll be the new week. So you could submit your new entry if you have any stats you would like to send over. Cool. Well, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. And let me see. Let's see. Okay. I'll help you with that resistance just after this call. I just saw your message. But yeah, thanks to the DGen supply team for joining the AMA today. I'm hyped for the gear coming.
Of course, man. Thanks for having us on, boys.
Thanks,
Games coming
guys.
next week. Very, very excited to be part of the LeagueDAO family.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We'll get some more details out soon, and in the merch channel, which we'll be announcing soon. And yeah, just keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah, and then also don't forget we have the giveaway running if you So if you haven't already, claim the League Legend role and jump into the giveaway.
All right, guys. Catch you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Take care.